Okay, what is sound? What is sound on the guitar? You know, what does the sound matter? You know, if you're playing a Strat, does it make that much difference? If you play the bridge pickup, neck pickup, quack sounds, I like that one, you know. Now, if I went, right, I would expect people to know that that is Jimmy Page's solo in Whole Lot of Love, you know. Right? Now, does it make it any better if we then give it a sort of, you know, I don't know, a massive. I would say no. You know, if I had someone play the first time, you know, with that very clean, almost Eric Clapton sound, I would think that's Whole Lot of Love, and that is pretty like it. Same as if you played Jimmy's solo in Celebration Day, where it goes. You know, if you played that with the right kind of, you know, if you got close to Jimmy's kind of swagger, you know, the. You know, that would do it for me. So I would say what you play is much more important than the sound you use. Now, a lot of people won't agree with me. A lot of people say if you get the sound, that's it. You know, if I heard someone, you know, play. You know, for the start of Kid Charlie, I mean, it wouldn't really matter to me whether they play it like that or whether they had, you know, the I guess, you know, the full, you know. You know, that wouldn't really make much odds to me if I was sort of going, how close is that? You know, I'd be far more inclined to listen to the, you know, just the swing of it. You know, that would affect me more than, you know, whether it was played through a Mesa Boogie or a little practice amp, or whether it was played completely clean, or, and that would make a big difference to me. You know, is it slid, or is it fretted, or is it bend? There's 3 ways to play that phrase. That would be far more likely that I would say, oh, that's really like it, which is my favourite thing on the guitar, when you hear someone play something, you know. And as if anybody who watches these videos would know, you know, I don't want to get bogged down in talking about sound. I'd be far more inclined to talk about, you know, the actual notes that are played. So then you'd have to ask the question, well, could you play something with the most inappropriate sound? And that is a difficult one. You know, if you had, like, you know, sometimes I don't pay enough attention to the delay, and I hear something back and there's all these notes popping. I think, oh, I didn't realise there was so much echo in that. You know, if you're trying to play the start of, let's say, Wonderful Tonight, right, by Clapton, right? If you played it with that sound, it's wildly inappropriate, you know, compared with a more conventional Eric sound that might be. You know, so could you play either with either sound? Could you play, you know, Kid Charlemagne with a clean popping sound, could you play Wonderful Tonight with, you know, a bit of drive and delays? Now, the thing is, this is kind of crux of the argument here. We've all heard, you know, a million bands play Wonderful Tonight, you know, and you've probably heard, you know, the G chord sat on a G note. You've heard people sat on an E. First note is a D. That's the bit that's got to be there. If you're going to play that line, you've got to have that note. So we get the D over the G chord. Then you've got, how do you let that note down? You obviously don't do that. Don't do that. The thing you hear quite often on a lot of solos that have made it onto records is someone bends a note too far, right? And it is like fingernails down the blackboard. So you hear someone go, and it sounds horrendous, right? And it's easily avoided. Just, you know, just don't do it. Easier said than done. But to me, the D note, I played it a little rate there. And I'm always trying to make that bend come down as slowly as possible. You know? And if you think about that, I think that's going to get a lot closer than if you use that amp or that amp or that amp and those effects and whatever. You know, I'm sure there is some boutique pedal somewhere that promises to give you, you know, Eric Clapton's, what would that be on? It's not 461 Ocean Boulevard, I think it's on Slowhand, right? You know, a Slowhand pedal. But again, as I've said 100 times, I think you do far better just to listen and listen and listen. I mean, I did a video a while ago, or a series of videos on Paul Kossoff's guitar playing. And one thing I find incredibly interesting was that the very serene, controlled vibrato on something like Oh I Wept, over the course of a couple of years, changed to this absolutely wailing, extreme vibrato on like Cancer Train. It's, you know, it's 2-3 years, and he's gone from this very smooth, you know, beautiful Oh I Wept vibrato, pardon me, to this absolutely crazy wild. And to be quite honest, I love them both, but for me, anyway, focusing on that is going to be far more use to you than focusing on, you know, how far up did you have the bass control. You know, like how do you know, people will tell you how do you set the controls on a Marshall, and you know, it's not being a smart ass to say until it sounds good, you know. I went from Vox, when I was pretty young, I went from a Vox to a Peavey, to, I don't know if you remember these, a Sessionette amp. They were absolutely fantastic. And mine, the reverb stopped working on mine, and I sold it. I should have just got the reverb fixed. And then I went to a Seymour Duncan convertible amp that I never liked. You know, it was a lot of money, and I'm sure there are guys who've got them, and you know, one of my friends says it's, you know, one of his favourite amps. I'm sure there are guys that can make it sound absolutely sensational. It never really sat right with me. And when I started using Marshalls, I was in a band with another guy who used Marshalls, you know, a lot of his life, and he said, you know, do you know a good way to set it? But this is not the, you know, dime everything, you know, catchphrase. He said, just put everything all the way up and back off the middle and the presence, you know, and obviously the master, you know, suit to taste. And I did that, and it sounded fantastic. Now that was a Marshall 65 valve state. So when I then got a JCM 900, I did exactly the same, and lo and behold, you've immediately got this great usable sound. Now you might say, well, yeah, but you didn't tweak it. You didn't find the, how you doing that, the sweet spot on the amp. Well, no, I didn't, because speaking personally, I get confused. You know, if there's too many controls on a pedal for me. I just want one setting, and then just stick with that. So that's my Marshall setting. Maybe different now, because you know, on like JVM, or you know, I've got a DSL 40C that I kind of just set to something similar, you know. And sometimes someone will say to you, you know, in the band once, I think I was playing my JMD1, and Alan, who's a guitar player in the band I'm in, one of the other guitar players in the band I'm in, and he said, could you turn the bass down? There's just this wash of bass, which I hadn't even noticed, you know. So you can spend an awful lot of time, which is absolutely fine. Maybe you'll make the thing sound better. I mean, I had a guy say to me recently, you know, I'll tell you how to, not that he's ever heard me play, I don't think, I'll tell you how to set your amp, and you know, and he said something like, middle is your friend. And I was like, what does that mean? What does that even mean? You know? So the key to this is concentrate on what you play. Don't ignore what you're playing through, but concentrate on what you play, and the rest will kind of follow. You know, if you can get, like, you know, a great sound, you know, like, you know, I'm not saying that's a great sound, but if you can get that to sound pretty good, you know, just clean, you know, just a twangy, clean sound, you know, you've got there. Before I go, a quick apology. I've got a guy in one of the comments on my videos, instead of saying, David, that is absolutely great, or David, that is diabolically bad, he just said 4 words, and he said, too much blah blah. So this video has been a whole lot of blah blah. So if it's been too much blah blah for you, I would have to say, from me and the bear, I'm sorry. Well, we're not really.